Welcome back, everybody, to the CF Podcast. I'm your host, Clint, and I'm happy to announce that we've made some new friends here at SHOT Show 2024, our first podcast of SHOT Show, by the way. So thank you guys for breaking the ice on that one. And we've got Robert and Sarah here from DeerMeatForDinner.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm actually really wishing that's what was for dinner tonight.
For real.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be great for me. So you guys got your own YouTube channel.
Yes, sir.
And it's heavily focused, obviously, on hunting.
No. It's more of an outdoor lifestyle brand.
Got it.
So Deer Meat for Dinner is just what I was doing when I was broke and starting my channel. And like, what do I love? I love deer meat. I was cooking deer meat. And I said to myself out loud, I like deer meat for dinner. And we looked online and it was there. And we bought it for $10 on GoDaddy. And
way to put out a credit card, though, because we had zero money in the bank.
Well, that's American dream stuff,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming you love what you do.
Yeah, we
right?
love it.
You're right, and on top of that, it's also a skill set. It's not just like we were just talking. Like, it's not just me talking in front of the camera and being good at that. Like, if the end of the world were to happen, like right now, I do believe you guys are probably a little bit better set in that environment. And I'd be like, hey, can you show me how to clean a deer real quick? That's the type of skill set that you should probably have before things happen.
Check this out. We're here for SHOT Show.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we were on Lake Mead catching striped bass.
What, really?
Cleaning it up and cooking it right there by the Hoover Dam. Yeah. So, like, while everybody else is, like, worried about meetings, we're sitting there eating fresh fish by the Hoover Dam.
They're just saying,
yeah,
make hay while the sun shines.
Yes.
Although it was raining. It was raining.
Make hay while the rains.
Well, nobody else is fishing.
Right. How cool is that, though? So you're over there fishing right there in the Hoover Dam, or right by the Hoover Dam. And so that was your dinner with a view.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
It was so cool.
We saw so many ducks. We saw so many fish. We caught fish. We were with our friends from Sin City Outdoors.
Yeah.
Shout out. They showed us a great time. We went on the boat, caught bait, caught fish. We had a great time with them. And
there's pelicans here, by the way.
Amazing people, by the way. Yeah. And so we got to see Lake Mead, and they specialize in these Lake Mead updates and the water dropping. We got there in a monsoon, so the water was raising, which is counterproductive, but the fish were biting, so that's good.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, how cool is that? Now, by the way, Kaya, who's also a member of our team, you guys are probably gonna be like, I can't believe I'm hearing this right now. He's actually never been fishing, and he's 40 years old.
No
he should be beat with a stick.
Well, yeah,
but it's crazy. Dude, there's so many people out there that don't do it.
Dude, that's such a fond memory that I plan on passing down to my son and daughter. Is like, dude, as a kid, I used to go fishing with my dad all the time. I'll never forget, dude. We went to this one pond, and I caught 13 fish in one day. None of them were good, it was just like fun. And 13 fish in one day, and he caught a couple of snapping turtles, and I thought, oh yeah, this is one of the best days of my life. And I'm thinking, dude, that is a memory like that I will cherish forever.
The people that don't grow up like that, though, you have to think how intimidating that is for somebody who's never done that. Yeah. Like when you're a kid and you have a dad or a grandparent or a mom, whoever, somebody there that you trust and you're not embarrassed with, teaching you the ropes, you're liable to ask questions, and you don't care if you screw up because, you know what I mean? There's no pressure on you. But if you don't have that and you grow up and all of a sudden you're like, man, I want to try that, but I'm kind of embarrassed and I don't want to, do something that's going to make me look like silly, and how do I even start? I don't even know how to tie the hook on the thing. It can be super intimidating for people. So I feel like that intimidation factor probably makes people shy away because they are older and have never had that.
That's the exact same conversation and mindset too, especially when you get into the heavy shooting side of stuff, like what we do on our side of the house, right? And then you and I were just talking about what worlds we live in and comfortable with.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when somebody wants to get into like buying their first AR-15.
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, oh my God, it's a black scary gun. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle the recoil and all that stuff. And then you go to an indoor range and people are shooting all sorts of crazy stuff. And it can be very intimidating, like you're saying. And so it's the exact same thing. And it's cool to have, me doing what I'm doing on my world, what you guys are doing in your world, and kind of welcoming people visually through YouTube and everything else. Like, hey, it's not big and scary. Actually, get out there, try it. You might enjoy it, and you're going to have a good time doing it.
Yeah. I will say this. We were on range day on Sunday, and like rifles and shotguns, totally comfortable with. Yeah. Like even a tactical shotgun, I'm comfortable with. But then I go over there to the handguns, right, that I don't do a lot. The noise alone, like listening to people pop rounds next to me, I'm like, oh, this is a different noise. It's so different. Yes. That was intimidating for me. Yeah. I was like, woo. It's different.
And what Sarah's talking about, guys, is the Beretta exclusive range day that we all got to attend, which was really cool. This was my first year going. A couple of the guys were able to go last year. And were you guys there last year too?
No.
So what did you guys think about this year?
It was amazing.
Epic.
It was really
I
cool.
left with it looked like I got clocked in the chin. That's how many guns I was shooting. I mean, every chance I had to shoot something, I was shooting it. Like,
oh my God. Dude,
that's what it's for though.
It is.
To feel every gun out, you know?
Yeah. That second, the second shotgun bay that they had that was outdoors. So the first one, you got to shoot all the high end stuff.
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah. Oh, the tactical with the birds?
Yes.
The clays?
Yes. And that second one, they were just like, it's a free for all. Here's cases of 12 gauge. Here's shotguns laying around.
Yes.
And here's clays flying in every direction.
Okay. So if you went to the
awesome.
handguns, did you make it to the handguns?
Oh, of course. Yeah. But yes, I did make it down to the handguns.
Did you see the 12 gauge tactical shotgun they had on the end?
Oh, you're talking about Langdon Tacticals 1301. That is my baby. I love that
dude,
gun. Yeah.
I was shooting it so fast I had flames coming out the side.
Yes.
They got it on camera.
That part is best. You're over here like
so
awesome. Can we go back to the hunting outdoor stuff?
Well, no, I'm sitting here thinking the whole time you guys are talking like how big the world of hunting and shooting really is.
Right.
So people think like, oh, guns and you shoot guns. Well, when you guys, your buddy Jason, heck, man, with the tactical shotgun throwing clays, I was like fully lost. Like with that whole sight picture, it was something that I just didn't feel comfortable with.
I couldn't pick up the bird either.
Yeah, that's outside of my realm of normal. Just give me a normal A300 20 gauge and I would have broke all those birds. It's just different. It's what are you used to and what fits you.
Right, and what you're comfortable with. And something too, I mean, it was funny too when some of the instructors over there asked like, hey, are you rifle shooter, are you pistol shooter, are you shotgun? And it's like, I'm just a shooter, like I shoot them all. What are you talking about? I was like, okay, we're about to find out which one you are.
Yes.
Because if you look at Jason, he's a great example because this man can shoot a pistol and a rifle like there's no tomorrow, right? And he's like, oh, well, I'm a rifle shooter. And that translated because he wouldn't put much of a lead on any of the clay, so it took him a second to try to figure that out. Like, oh, I'm shooting bird shot here. I've got all these different pellets that are going down range, and they're not moving as fast as a 5.56 projectile. Yeah. So I got to put a little bit of lead on that bird that's moving pretty quick, and then all of a sudden, oh, look at that. There goes that clay, and it goes in all sorts of different directions, and it's beautiful.
I will say at the Beretta shoot, everybody there, I did not feel intimidated or embarrassed to shoot at all because everybody was accepting and everybody was going out of their way to try to help you. Like, it was great.
Well, Beretta, too, I think they know how to do such a good idea as inviting those types of personalities, too. Beretta, I mean, first of all, oldest gun manufacturer in the world. And Dina, if you're listening, you're awesome. Amanda, if you're listening, you're awesome. And everybody that puts on those events, they do such a good job at finding these different personalities and characters from all different realms. I mean, again, we were talking about our different worlds that we're comfortable in and everything. And here we are going to the same event, doing the same things.
It blends.
And it's fun and it blends and we make new friends.
Yes.
And it's such a good time. Yeah. Such a good time.
So Beretta owns like 53 brands.
Yes.
So they have like 53 companies. But Beretta is very polished. So when you think of the name Beretta, it's excellence. It's really, really good. And then they have this certain way of doing things that I was sort of intimidated by just because I'm like your outdoors guy. Like, I may show up in like holy pants with no shoes on.
That's cool.
It's like, whoa, I hope I fit in with Beretta.
Yeah.
And man, like Beretta is a really cool company to be a part of. We signed with them like 6 months ago. Yeah. And it has turned out to be a really good situation. Yeah. And even range day, I had no clue, but Amanda Pop is amazing. I love her and Joe Kniff and all the people over there. So when we went to the range day, I had no idea what to expect. And it turned out to be really, really cool and had a great time.
He took second in the rifle shoot.
I saw it. All right, so we got to talk about that rifle too. By the way, this podcast is not sponsored by Beretta. We just love the manufacturer, all right? And their stuff's great. I'm glad that you guys signed on with them. And if they would like a tactical shotgun guy, I'm just throwing my hands out there. But that BXR1.
Yes.
That BXR1. So I shot the competition too, but I'll tell you, I actually messed up because the moment I was like, dude, I was playing with the action beforehand, dry firing. Yep. I went to lift up and it screwed off my entire rhythm. I was like, God.
It's a straight pull.
It's a straight
and
pull.
And that gun was getting so hot from so many people shooting it. Like, even when I went to go shoot it, it was mad. I'm like, okay, you had to put it down, let it. I mean, when you shoot guns, like, the more you shoot, you got to let your gun rest, too. I mean, the hot barrel is never good to shoot because you want to be accurate.
You guys realize they're all just throwing excuses out there right now, okay?
He
You're not
shot
first,
it
you're
after
last.
lunch, okay?
after we got the cool down. Is that what you said?
After an hour of cooldown. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just
but
kidding.
I mean, but you're right though. That gun,
was hot.
that gun was getting hot. But I'll tell you, at the distance we were shooting, I think we were only going like 50 yards.
80.
It was 80 yards.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
man,
blue targets were 80.
Oh, okay. Well, with just the EOTech on it, I mean, it was ringing it, dude. Once you were there and you realized too that you didn't have to rock it and you just straight pulled the thing, dude, it ran.
Yeah.
But the challenge wasn't hitting the 3 or 4 targets that were up on the berm.
It was the bunny.
It was the bunny. I wasn't expecting that. With a rifle, that is a challenge.
Yeah,
and that clay
with a
comes
scope.
rolling. Yep. So what was your final time?
I don't know. It was a few seconds. I don't know.
Right, dude. I saw that.
3 something?
Yeah, I think the winner was like 292 or something.
I think you were 3. I think it was
pissed
like
me
4
off.
something and then 3 something and then you. Because he had to shoot twice at one target.
Yeah.
The person that won, I'm pretty sure I literally hit right under the bunny and bounced the bunny up in the grip, but I didn't break the bunny. I'm like, gosh, dang it. And the person that won broke the bunny.
And he got 2 off.
And so they got 2 off.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Right, because for the challenge, if you hit the bunny, that reduced your overall time by 2 seconds.
But what's
People are sitting
even
here like,
cool
what are you
about
guys
that-
even talking about?
Right.
So what's really cool about that is, we're in January
January.
Yeah.
of 2024.
Right.
In May of 2023, I had a major stroke and was in ICU.
2 strokes.
Jesus.
Yeah, man. And so in May of 2023, I couldn't even I had to get help to walk. I had to learn how to hold a pencil. I had to learn all that.
yeah.
So you're talking less than a year to place second with all those amazing people.
Yeah.
That was like the highlight of my day.
And
Yeah,
I want to
well, that's
explain
cool,
the
man.
challenge for people who are like sitting here like, well, what the heck is going on? So there's 3 targets, 3 steel targets at 80 yards. You have to get on your gun, shoot, reload, shoot, reload, shoot, reload. And the second you're done with that 3rd target, then they're going to release that clay bunny that's going and bouncing along the ground. But you have a scope on the gun. So it makes it like super challenging.
Well, it's not a
But
scope.
It was the EOTech. Yeah,
Was it?
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a sight on there. It wasn't like you're shooting like open sights.
Yeah.
But that was a time challenge. So it was like the second they said start is when you could start shooting.
Yeah.
So everything was timed.
Yeah. I will
That's what we're
say
talking about.
the other bolt gun that they had right down from that, it was just open sights with this really bright high
You shot
fiber
that.
optics. That gun was cool, and I actually found that one to be easier to chase the bunny with. Because
Yeah.
I feel like the EOTech, I'm focusing on the reticle, where I'm focusing just on that front sight of that rifle, and I was able to track that a little bit easier. Which is funny because, again, more of a tactical shooter, I use EOTechs all the freaking time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got them on my defensive rifles and everything. But overall, the competition was cool. You had 3 still there. You shot those as 3 as quickly as you could, and then your time stopped, and then you got 2 seconds subtracted from your overall time if you hit the bunny. And it was a really cool event.
Yeah.
And Amanda was telling me too at Beretta that when you had your strokes, were you like in the middle of a hunt on that?
Yeah, I was catching a gator.
Yeah.
I had my
Dude.
daughter. I was like in the act of catching a gator, which is now full. The people, whenever I had my stroke, I was like, it felt like someone whacked me upside the head and threw water on me.
Yeah.
And so I just leaned against a gator and was like, and then
Not against
Robert
a gator.
Lilly-
Hold on, not against a gator. That sounded different. He just leaned like he was hooked up to a gator with the rod.
Yeah,
So
so
he
I
leaned back.
snagged the gator.
I see what you mean, yeah.
And so
He
we're
put pressure.
catching nuisance gators.
Yeah.
So the people called for us to come catch that gator. And so once I hooked the gator, I like fell over into a fan that was there. I looked down to see if I was stepping in a hole. I wasn't. And so I just leaned on the gator. He's hooked up, and I'm praying to God that he's not going to run away or like come to me or do anything crazy. And when Robert Lilly come around, I just dropped the rod and said, "Get me to the hospital."
Yeah.
And so me and Ari were there. We got in the car and hauled Buggy to the hospital. A few hours later, he went back to pick up my rod, and the gator was still attached to the rod.
Oh.
So they caught the gator. Well, then had a full body mount
Yeah.
made of the gator. And so earlier this year, they presented me with a gator, all full body
Yeah.
mounted,
That-
in this scene.
So we have it in our house.
Dude, that gator had mad respect for you. He's like, you know what, you got me, but you're going through something. I'll let you come back.
And he had his bottom teeth went up through his bill. So he had
Yeah.
holes
Oh,
with his
wow.
It was
Okay.
it was very unique.
Oh
anyway.
man, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, cool stuff though. I mean, overall, well, first of all, I'm glad. It seems like you've recovered okay.
Yeah, I
And-
still
yeah.
struggle with my speaking at times.
Yeah.
But I'm very thankful for where I am.
Yeah, well, same here, man. So thank you for still being around so we can have this podcast and get to know each other, right?
Absolutely.
But also going back to the BXR, I saw that your video just today, by the way, everybody, this is Tuesday of SHOT Show, just dropped. And I was looking at it because you and I just filmed our segment at it at Beretta, which that just happened that was just good coincidence there. And I saw it. It looked like it was doing pretty good. 3 hours, over 20,000 views already. And the BXR1 is, again, a solid rifle. And with that, I wanted to segue into another one of the videos that you and I were talking about Deer Meat for Dinner. You showed me a clip of a video where a cop was helping you drag a deer body across the highway.
Here you go.
Only in Wisconsin, folks.
Yeah. We were in Wisconsin going to hunt with a good friend of ours. He's a bean farmer, Mr. Jerry. And on our way over, we're driving along, and there's a deer like laid down in the median, and there's a concrete barrier there. So Austin's like, there's a lot of deer over there. I'm like, turn the car around right now. So we turned around, we went back, and sure enough, the deer's there. He has a broken hind leg. So I sort of wanted to park where the deer didn't jump out into the highway and cause a huge scene.
Yeah.
And then I pulled up my laptop and I was like, we can actually take that deer. I just can't shoot that deer. So we called 911.
So you looked up the laws to see what you could have done.
While the deer's still laying there.
Absolutely.
He's looking at you like, this dude's going to eat me.
Yeah, for sure.
Gosh, that sounds horrible.
I was like the lion just looking at a little animal.
Yeah. Well,
But he would have totally suffered though in the wild.
absolutely. Yeah,
He either would have got hit by a car or coyotes would have got him.
Yeah,
there's no way around
and
that.
we can. This will be a separate subject after we finish this conversation. But it's the entire idea where anybody might think that hunting is inhumane. You're out of your mind.
Until you've seen a wolf kill an elk.
Right.
That elk would gladly be shot. Like, just shoot me now.
Yeah.
Right. Or you think that the food that you're getting at the grocery store, those are definitely humanely treated animals, right? Like I said, separate subject.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah, that's a totally different subject, but you're right. There's nothing treated more humanely than a game animal.
Right.
Game animals live on beautiful property, and all of a sudden they don't know it's coming. We spend tons of time spending money on guns and ammo and camo and scent control and all kinds of things, so that animal doesn't know we're there, and all of a sudden, bang! In a couple of seconds, they went from being alive and happy to food. And so that's just the way it is.
That's the way it's been, I don't know, since the beginning of man, or not even man, just the beginning of life.
Yeah,
it is
forever.
literally the circle of life. So
yeah, and so getting back to the animal or the deer on the side of the road, we found out, hey, we can get that deer. So I called 911. I told him right away. I said, hey, there's not a life-threatening emergency here. I said, but there's a deer in the median. And she said, thanks for calling. And they sent out a trooper. And so one of the guys, I forget his name now.
Eddie?
Sheriff Eddie.
Sheriff Eddie, if you're watching this, I'm thinking about you, man. Thank you so much.
I'm talking about you.
So anyway, he gets there. He's like, yeah, this is what we do. So he pulls out his AR-15. We walk across the road. I'm like, this guy's for real, man.
Wait. I love the fact, too, that he just pulls out his AR, just nonchalantly walks across a highway.
While cars are coming the other way.
Try stepping into my shoes. This is me. It's like drizzling out. I walk back to his car. I don't know if he's going to be like, get the camera away. I don't know what he's going to say.
You have no idea.
I walk back there. He's like, man, deer. Pulls out the gun. I'm like, oh, this is going down like this. I'm like, I'm going to film this. So I walk. He just marches right across the road. He like pulls it up. Cars all over. Pow! Shoots the deer. I'm like, can I take that with me? He's like, I don't care. He walks over there. We grab it by the horns. And off we go. We drag it across the road. And I look, and Austin, my cameraman, he's got the camera hanging out the window. So he's been filming all this.
Which is perfect.
Oh, yeah. And so we get to my truck, and Eddie's like, this isn't on the video. He's like, might as well go ahead and gut it right here. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I gut the deer, and we're like talking about deer hunting and alligators and all kinds of cool stuff. And you could tell that he didn't know how big our channel was or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, everyone he pulls over and all of his friends are like,
famous.
"Hey, man,
You're the guy."
People are showing up their speeding ticket. Look, it's a Sheriff Eddie.
Yeah. No doubt. I promise to like your video if you let me go. But anyway, we killed that deer and threw him in the truck after he was gutted, and then we headed on our way, and we got a room at the Motel 6, and Austin's like, what are we going to do with the deer, man? I'm like, we're going to clean the thing. He's like, where? I'm like, right here. He's like, we can't clean the deer here. I'm like, oh, yes, we can. Watch.
He's like, this is America.
Welcome to my life.
So we string the deer up, and people like pulled in the parking lot. They're like, is that a deer?
So you string them up in a tree, right?
It's a deer.
In a tree.
Yeah, you string them up in a tree in the parking lot of the Motel 6. I love
Only
that.
Robert. Only Robert.
So you're in the Motel 6. You said they'll keep the light on for you, right? And
I'll know that. I'll leave the light on for you.
You know, well, we were in Saskatchewan one time, and we went a mule deer hunting, and we had so much game from that hunt that we didn't have enough luggage to bring it back on. And every single person at the front desk took whatever meat they could. Yeah. So we gave it to I don't know why I thought of that, because of the Motel 6 and the people and the meat. I don't know. But they took all the extra meat. I'm like, it doesn't go to waste.
Right, which is great. And, you know, it reminds me, I'm going to shout out a local FFL in Monadnock Firearms because, you know, before.
You know them?
Yeah.
I don't.
I knew that was coming. I should have called that.
Yeah, I was like, no way. He was like, have you hunted up there? And he was like, no. But these guys, you know, this entire concept of seeing maybe a deer strung up in a tree at a Motel 6 parking lot would have been lost on me. Like there's no way I'd ever see this, right? Until I talked with these guys, and they open up pretty much their parking lot to local hunters and stuff, because he's got an entire carving station with a winch and all that stuff, so he can string up your deer and just open them up.
What state is that?
New Hampshire.
I would. Who is that?
Monadnock Firearms in New Hampshire.
Monadnock Firearms.
Yeah.
I want to come do that with y'all. Like, to me, I think that is the most revolutionary, great idea ever. It just can't get any better than that. So, to me, like with what I like, I think there's a level of connection with game. So
sure.
let's just say you came down to my ranch and you went on a hog hunt and killed a hog. And then you took that hog and like dropped it off for processor, and then you picked up some game meat and like, we're gonna cook that. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's several layers of connection there. Mm-hmm. But let's say you came down and I just said, hey, you can hunt my ranch, and then you pull out your Onyx map and you're like, oh, I want to try right there, and then you got in there and all of a sudden you killed your first hog ever.
Yeah.
Well, now you drag it back and you've never cleaned one before, but you like go through all the process of cleaning that game, and maybe you make some sausage and maybe you make some steaks or roast or whatnot, and then you cook that game. Well, the fact that you have all the connection, and now the meat is going to taste so good, versus there's so many people, they like shoot something that they didn't scout, and then they just drop it off, and maybe they're getting their meat, maybe they're getting someone else's meat, who knows? And the meat is just meat that they probably give it away or it gets freezer burnt.
Yeah.
So what they're doing at that firearms store is they're creating what hunting used to be.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm thinking of?
Hold on. The cleaning shed used to be the coolest place around. There'd be a campfire there'd be a campfire there. If you killed a deer, everyone would come around and be like, hey, what'd you kill? No one cared about what it scored, how old it is.
Yeah.
Oh, did you shoot it with a rifle? Well, hell yeah, I did. I shot him on 30-30.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I
Well, where'd you hit it at? I shot him in the neck. That's my only shot.
Yeah.
And so it was a great time. And what they're creating there is they're bringing people back to that skinning shed. They're making people, there's probably a brag board there. There's probably a bunch of pictures. And year after year, I'm sure people go and clean deer there, not because it's the only place to clean a deer, but because that's where the camaraderie is. That's the whole life. That I am so happy to hear that we travel all around the country. I don't know of a single place that does that.
Dude, all right. Well, I can definitely make the introduction there. Rob's the owner of the place. Awesome guy.
He's got a good name.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking of that, like old school registration stations.
Yeah.
Every time you go hunting, even if you didn't get something, you were going to the registration station to see what other people got. It's the same concept.
It's like your local coffee shop, but for
deer.
For deer. Right. Yeah.
And stories.
Yeah, and stories.
I just want to have a disclaimer. I was not knocking anybody for not cleaning their deer and not
sure.
I didn't grow up doing it.
I'm just saying, hey, the way I live, I want to get my hands dirty. I want to be a part of everything there.
Well, dude, so it's exactly like what I tell our audience. Like, if you get everybody says, I want to buy an AR-15. I want to buy an AR-15. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But Have you built one? Because you become more intimate and familiar with it, and you learn so much. And I've done it multiple times now where, it's still very satisfying to do, but it's kind of like, dude, if I could do that with something else, what would it be? And now all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, what you just said could ignite that spark again that really excites me and makes me feel like I've accomplished something, I've done something. Just like when I've built from the ground up, I've taken a stripped lower, stripped upper, I've torqued everything down.
You said something very smart there. So Sarah has been shooting her whole life.
Yeah.
Do you know what an AR upper is?
The top rail of the rifle.
Do you know what the lower is?
The bottom of the AR rifle.
She's just saying that.
She's good.
I mean, it's kind of like common sense, right? Am I right?
Yes and no.
It's
very important. It's very important.
I'm not a gun person.
Understanding how uppers and lowers work. You can change this upper, and connect it to that lower.
Right.
And so how you're building your gun.
It's like a Jeep Wrangler. It's a very customizable kit.
I have said this so many times that the ARs are the Jeeps of the gun world.
See,
right?
I know Jeeps a little bit. Okay,
well, that's my fiance. She's got a Jeep Wrangler too.
Yes, I had a '98 stick shift.
Oh, I had a 04 stick shift.
Nice.
She's got a little bit newer, but she's got it kind of Jurassic Park themed out.
Ooh, very cool.
It is cool. It is cool. but it's again going back to that same type of satisfaction and feeling of accomplishment, and it's even a confidence boost. Like when I build an AR-15,
you feel proud too.
Yeah, you feel proud, and I pull the trigger for the first time. The gun doesn't blow up, and I actually hit my target. I'm like, dude, that's cool.
Yeah.
Look what I did, right? And now all of a sudden you take that one step further. Now let's say you take that rifle that you just built, you take that 308 or whatever it is. Now you actually go and hunt something with it. And now all of a sudden you go literally from making the tool that brings you life, right? At the end of the day. And that right there, I think is probably one of the most that just sounds
Okay,
awesome.
can I say something? So at the Beretta Range Day, they had the BRX one, and it was topped with the Burris. What one was it? What Burris?
I don't know which one. The Eliminator 6?
Veracity?
No, Veracity PH.
Veracity. I was so spoiled that ever since I met Rob, I've always had an eliminator. Always had an eliminator on my gun. And what I felt was super proud. So I shot the gun and I'm like, man, I don't know how to dial this in right. Because we're talking 1,000 yards here, 500,000 yards. So I go over there and I shoot a different gun with the eliminator on top. And I start cranking out the 1,000-yard target. I'm like, yeah, this is epic. It's fun. But then I'm like, but I want to go figure that out, you know? So I went back to the station, and I had a guy working with me. I don't know his name off the top of my head. And anyway, so we're sitting there trying to dial this thing in for 1,000 yards. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it was like trial and error. I'd shoot, and I'd watch my bullet, watch a vapor trail, and then I'm like, oh, I'm high. So I'd adjust, shoot high. Finally, I'm like, oh, I'm on it. Well, then we had a crosswind, right?
Oh,
so he's like, try 2 feet left. And so I'm trying 2 feet left, dialing it all in, and I'm drilling it. And I'm telling you, out of everything I shot, that I was like, I did it. I got it because I had to figure it out. It was something you had to put work into. It wasn't just sitting there for you. That I fully understand what you're talking about.
It's so cool that we're all of this is just around firearms, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about all of it, and it doesn't have to necessarily be that. It could be bow, crossbow, all sorts of different types of hunting styles as well.
Right.
But ultimately, what we're talking about right here, though, is that again, that's that satisfaction, and in a sense, this is truly therapeutic.
Yeah.
Right. Especially when you start playing the long range game. I mean, you literally got to focus on your breathing and what every part of your body's doing. And it's like, oh man, it's kind of like meditation. Am I right?
Yeah.
And it's mind clearing.
Oh, you got to talk about your SAM course. Yeah, you had such a good experience.
Have you been to the FTW Ranch, the SAM class in Texas?
Oh, you need to go.
I've
never been though, but I need to go. We need to go.
All right.
It's so in October we went to it with Beretta.
Okay.
It's the SAM, the Sportsman's all-weather, all-terrain marksmanship. Okay. And literally, it's ran by a bunch of SEAL team guys, Green Berets, Special Forces, and the owner is Tim Fallon. It's a 4-day course where you literally guaranteed will leave going, I did not know how to shoot a gun before. What you know and what you think you know, I've been shooting a gun since my whole life.
Heavily.
Yeah.
A lot. Mm-hmm. And literally they work with, who knows anything about your trigger release?
Right.
The trigger release is just as important as the trigger pull.
That's right.
Booger flicking.
Right.
Hey, dog, I'm thinking about you. But your neck muscles, how you're stacked up properly behind the gun.
That's right.
Getting good support, whether you're shooting prone, standing up, off sticks, whatnot. it was, and we are around tons of people that are all upper level shooters, and man, everyone will tell you the same thing. The SAM course, it was the best thing I've ever done in my life.
That is exciting to hear. Okay, well, I mean, it's not like we don't have any friends at Beretta, so I know, and I've got some friends here too that are also friends of Beretta, and and I know it doesn't have to necessarily be with Beretta either, but at the same time, it sounds like this is a course that we all should probably take.
I'm telling you, and they have different courses from what I was told. Like I got to meet all the guys, I just didn't go to the course. Rob thought it was some type of commercial shoot, so he's like, I'm gonna go shoot commercials. And then he gets there, he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're here.
It's
not here.
School.
Yeah.
It's a school, like a shooting school.
Right.
And so I got to meet all the guys, and they said they have different types of courses for different types of hunting. So if you're going to Africa, they got like a dangerous game where you have charging animals coming at you. You got to make quick shots and make accurate shots, because if you don't,
no
bueno.
Yeah, it's a little bit more.
It's way more unless
there's different
you can't
courses.
talk about it unless you've actually been there.
Sure.
Because you're doing it a disjustice by, if you don't know it.
Right.
It's
no,
one
I'm
of them
just simply
things that,
saying
like,
there's different courses for different things too.
which is super cool.
Yeah.
So it all and the way my mind takes it is the mission will dictate your training and everything else, right?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a mission, but your hunt in this case, right?
It's 100%. You couldn't say that any better. Your mission dictates your training.
Yeah.
Period.
And we're sitting here talking about hunting, and making an ethical, shot placement. That is like key. You talk about animals, hanging out, not knowing, okay, well, this is their time to go. They're not getting chased by coyotes. Well, as a hunter, you do want to make an ethical shot.
That's
you don't want to sit there and like blast at a deer and like hit it in the leg and then hit it in the ear and then hit it in the jaw and then finally kill the thing. I mean,
ammunition's expensive,
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right.
It's like, and I know things happen and there's things that happen. I mean, last fall was a hard fall for me. Things happen that you don't expect to happen. But if you can do the best you can to make a great shot, and if you got to follow up, you got to follow up.
Right.
Things happen, but you want to do the best you can.
And so that can go back to the topic we were talking about. You're talking about ethical, humane. And here's something I think people just don't understand, because when you showed me the video of Sheriff Eddie helping you drag the deer across and all that stuff, and you had blood on your hands and all that, people will look at that like, oh my God, that's so terrible and this is gory and all that. And it's like, dude, no, you don't understand, right? What people do to people is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Very
right.
bad.
Very bad. And then we see true animal cruelty take place in different warehouses where a lot of these people are saying, this animal has died humanely. That cow's name was Sarah, and
Whoa.
that is funny.
Sally, let's say Sally, okay?
That was actually really funny. Okay, Kate. That cow was named Kate. All right.
I'm sorry for all you Kates out there.
That was totally a mistake. Don't hate me forever. But again,
are you calling me a heifer?
Oh my God. All right, you know what? Somebody needs to take over.
I'm totally kidding.
But it's that same mindset that it's like, dude, people are just what you're ignorant about, you're ignorant about, right?
Yeah.
But you can fix ignorance. There's I think a couple of comedians we like say you can't fix stupid, right?
You can't fix stupid.
So there is that.
And you don't know what you don't know. That's the best phrase that I've been like saying all year, because sometimes you just don't know until you like learn it firsthand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And so if you get the opportunity to actually like sit down and talk with people that actually live this lifestyle, you understand that, wow, you actually have a passion and you care about these animals, right? To the point where you want to make sure that the life that they're living, all the way up to the point of impact from that round, that they're actually like, first of all, they're clean. You understand that they're not being pumped full of a bunch of whatever types of products or whatever else, you know what it is, or antibiotics, I don't know. But it's like, we don't know actually what we're eating when we buy it off the shelf. I mean, you can do that anything that's food grade. I'm curious, right?
But you also look at hunting as, I'm not trying to cut you off.
No, you're totally good.
But you also look at hunting as when people come and hunt in a community, the amount of money that hunters bring in to buy licenses and to pay for things and pay for food and pay for everything, they actually support communities. There's so much more to hunting than going to find an animal. A lot of times people come in, pay all this money and leave with nothing. Yeah. I mean, so there's way more to hunting and controlling the herd population. I mean, there's so much more to hunting than, just getting food for your family too. It's just overall, it's a great thing.
And something else that I think is kind of slept on is the fact that people don't realize, because through practices like that, but hunters are some of the most, they are the conservationists.
Oh, yeah.
They preserve more wildlife and more wilderness than anybody protesting some Capitol building, honestly.
Period.
Yeah.
100%. So I can say this. It's conservation by utilization.
Yes.
So when was the last time a game animal went extinct? Never.
That's
okay.
Yeah.
So in Africa, I'm not a big game. I don't have an urge to elephant hunt.
Right.
But that's a huge thing, and that brings in tons of money. It helps tons of communities. But it
Feed
also
schools.
helps. It also helps the elephants. There's 35 countries in Africa that have elephants. 85% of the elephants live in the 7 countries that allow hunting for elephants.
Wasn't that interesting?
That is
That's
actually
weird.
That is weird. So, okay. So that's something that I've always kind of wondered. I'm glad you're talking about that, because that's something I've always kind of like wondered about, because there's all sorts of different, game hunts and stuff. And something that my dad used to say too is like, people don't understand, like they're so worried about these small villages not able to feed themselves. It's like, you know how much meat one elephant would do for an entire whatever community, and it's like, oh my goodness. Then look at the money that the people spent to get there and all this other stuff that they paid to make sure that it's legal and all that. And then something too, like an organization that I'm a fan of, VetPaw, Veterans for the Protection of African Wildlife. Yeah. These are anti-poaching.
Yes, that's huge over there.
Yeah, we've done a lot of this.
So do we have like 2 hours to talk? Because now you got me going.
Yeah, keep going. It's all good. It's all good.
When we were in Africa, one of the main reasons we went to Africa, I could care less if I hunted.
Yeah.
I went for anti-poaching outfit with rhinos. So there's a big 63,000 acre game farm. Now, in South Africa, whether it's just your yard or whether you have 1 million acres, everything is fenced. Mm. That means it's yours. So whatever game you have, it's there. The land that we were on, they have heavy poaching. A lot of people poach. And so you have all this land, and then you have rhinos. Well, the rhinos bring thousands upon thousands of dollars for their horn in the black market. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, you have certain areas that the poachers will come in from.
Right.
And then you could set up a sting, but you never know where the rhinos are. So what we did was we went in, we took a helicopter and found the rhino. Now, this rhino had previously been shot 3 times in the front shoulder with a .308. She actually used her head as a crutch to walk because she couldn't walk on her leg. It was a big problem.
She had a baby with her, too.
She had a calf with her at the time. And so we went in with a vet that helped her. He's a world-famous vet. He's a South African. He is freaking amazing. We found that I was in the helicopter. We darted her, and we went down. We took a chainsaw. We cut off her horn, which is normal. It's like cutting your fingernails.
Right.
Their horns are made out of keratin. We took a chainsaw, cut her horn off, and then we took a satellite tracking device, mounted it on the stump, and then built her an artificial horn out of resin. Then used dirt, and it literally looked like a real horn. It was amazing. Then,
but people ask, why do you make it look like a horn?
Me and Gerard spent like $100,000.
That's what Dagaboy Safaris.
Yeah, we spent like $100,000 doing that. We didn't spend that money so that the rhino could pay us back.
Right.
We did that to help preserve the rhinos. And so then I looked at him. The rhino you use the same amount of tranquilizer to knock down a rhino which weighs 3,500 pounds,
right,
as you do a kudu, which weighs like 600 pounds.
Like an elk.
Yeah. They're very
so
temperamental.
Sensitive.
They're very sensitive to the tranquilizer.
And they can only be under anesthesia for so long. So everyone's moving super fast.
Super fast. And then you're always wondering, are they going to get up? Because if they're tranquilized and their feet go numb, they can never get up.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. So she wakes up, she gets up, off she runs. And I look over at Gerard, he's like, white as a ghost. He's like, the tracker's not working.
Oh, no.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So, like, we were, like, devastated about this.
Yeah.
3 days later, on our last day, we were hunting a warthog. Yeah. And he and I were just, like, drowning in our sorrows.
Yeah.
We heard bing, beep. His phone, the tracker just started working. We found the rhino. We're able to film the rhino. And now, to this very day, no matter what. And since then, because it has worked, we've since tagged 5 more white rhinos and a black rhino.
Oh, wow.
And so Gerard is doing tremendous work with the rhinos and anti-poaching.
But you wonder what
so now you can watch the rhino. So with your phone, you can say, hey, a rhino's here. If the rhino's going to get over in the danger zone, then you can set up a sting, or you can just protect the rhino so it doesn't get shot.
Right.
But it also alerts if the rhino starts moving really quickly and it's abnormal, then you're like, why is it being chased? Like, you don't know.
Yeah. Or if it's just like not moving for a long time, which could mean the worst.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it helps a lot. We also, she went in, she shot two elephants with
so fun.
Contraception darts.
Wow.
Okay, so that's what people don't know. Well, you don't know what you don't know, right? So we go over there, and I had all of these like assumptions of what Africa would be like.
Yeah, sure.
So we get there, and I'm like, okay, so like elephants are extinct. You know, like where do we sit with that? No. In some areas, they're kind of struggling. In other areas, they're so overpopulated that they don't know what to do with them. And so we went in, and it sounds bad, but they're so destructive, and you can't just go and harvest one elephant. You really got to take a whole herd, because if you take a couple, then the whole herd goes absolutely crazy and is super destructive.
Oh, wow.
So instead of culling a whole herd, you try to manage the herd with whatever resources you have. So we went over there, we put a satellite tracking device on this matriarch elephant. Like, I got to use all the tools. It was so cool. And when she woke up, she took off, and you got to prop their trunk open because they breathe through their trunk.
Yeah.
And anyway, so then when she went off, then I got in the helicopter with Yolandi from Dagaboy Safaris, and the vet was with us as well, but they're like expensive darts, and they're like, you cannot miss. So like pressure's on, and you're strapped in with a normal seatbelt hanging out of a window. Like, it was so tactical. It was so epic, but that's like not on my sleeve, but I fully understand what you guys do. But we were hanging out of this helicopter, and you get on this herd, and they're the ones telling you, okay, this elephant, and you just got to make it happen, you know? So you just shoot them with these darts. It lasts 1 year, but that gives, you know, the herd a really nice controlled substance, so you're not sitting there having to cull them. You know,
that's interesting.
Yeah, because they say one elephant needs 2,000 acres.
Yeah.
That's a lot of property for an elephant,
God. Yeah,
let alone a herd of elephants.
Wow, that's really interesting. I had no idea.
It's so cool.
That is cool. Going back to that rhino, I had one question. So you said she took like 3 rounds to the shoulder or something like that. Did the vet like help her fix that, or was it?
He
okay, cool.
And he gave her antibiotics because she was infected, really bad infections.
There was way more than that. He had to go in,
probably had to like do
fully
surgery.
work her. I looked at all the footage and all the pictures.
She's got all of her scars
of her being like. You can watch that video. And you can use any of the cutaways from that show with us talking now, so you guys can visually see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It was amazing to be a part of that. And so, we only got like 300,000 views on that video, which is nothing compared to how amazing
the work is.
That situation was.
Right. So this vet went in pretty much, I mean, performed rhino surgery.
Yeah.
Right. And then also protected her with the horn operation. And so gave this rhino pretty much a second chance at life.
Yeah. You'll see all of that in the video. Like
it's
all
so
the
cool.
way from cutting the horn off to like the tracker to building a horn, everything. You'll see it all.
Dude, I can only imagine when you heard that beep. Dude, like what that must have been like.
He was driving, their cars. He's on the left, I'm on the right, and his phone was like propped up like that. And when it binged, both of us like looked at it. I was like, "Oh my God!"
Eyes on the road.
We hit it and like we took off. We went chasing, and she was actually running one way, and she reversed course, and we're like, "She's going the other way." So we ripped around. And long story short,
he was on the right hand side though. Yeah. You're driving the right now.
Yeah, right.
We got her, and we got footage of her, and she
this
was
is the
still
best
with her
part
calf.
though. This is the best part. I didn't know if Rob was going there. So I'm in the back of the truck, right? And I got this camera, I got the long lens, and I'm like so excited. I'm like, where's this rhino? We're gonna get footage of her. Rob's in the front with Gerard. And all of a sudden he's like, there she is. And all of a sudden this rhino steps out. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I see the baby, and I'm like in the back getting all this footage. All of a sudden I hear Robert say, "What are you filming?" God, that was really loud. Sorry.
Headphone users beware.
Sorry. And I was like, I'm filming the rhino. What are you talking about? I look over, and he has the camera pointed the opposite way. So I'm like what? And I look behind me, and here the rhino is in front of me. It was a completely different rhino.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's too funny.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that's like majestic.
Like,
right?
but what are the odds 2 rhinos come out with 2 babies?
Right.
Like,
yeah, that is actually pretty funny.
I mean, like, whatever.
How cool is that, though?
It was so cool.
And to see them in their natural habitat, though, is one thing. Like, I've seen them, like, contained, and that's like, but we were in Drive Tanks and for the Gundies last year. And they had a couple rhinos there, but a lot of the animals that they have there, like they like do rescues, all sorts of kind of cool stuff, whatever. And the rhinos there that they had, I was like, dude, this is so cool. And what surprised me was they're fast.
Yeah,
I was
they're
like,
very fast.
Yeah, so they let us like pet them and all that stuff too. They came right up to the gate, and it's like, look, the vertical slats that contain these things, you can walk through, right? And they're like, you don't want to do that though, because if they pin you between
could you imagine?
Gate,
oh god,
it's like they're big heavy animals, and they like when you scratch and stuff like that, and they like when you pet them.
Yeah,
they keep these big like really heavy bristled brushes too. And like, yeah, give them a good brush. And it's like should we be getting paid to clean your animals? But and you look at them and you're like, dude, these are magical beasts.
Yeah,
right. And like they're wonderful, they're awesome, and it's something that it's like, dude, if you get the chance to like go and help like save one, multiple even, like, dude, that's cool.
It was so cool. It was so cool.
Do you know the difference between a black rhino and a white rhino?
I can go real obvious here, but I'm probably wrong.
So a black rhino is a browser, and they have a
hook
on their lip. They can browse and pick leaves off the trees.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A white rhino is actually known as a wide rhino. They have a wider, straighter mouth, and they graze. So they graze, and blacks browse.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Now, back to the show.
Hey, the more you know, all right? So how cool is that, though? So you've gotten into truly wildlife conservation. Yeah. Again, something, and I know it's not just you doing this. There's a lot of people out there also that are doing this, dude. And again, it's something that people just overlook. They don't pay attention to, because all they see in the hunter is kill.
Well, so while we were over there, the whole shutdown of COVID and lack of hunting, we went to this property where hunters,
it had a devastating effect on the area.
My gosh. We went to this piece, and from lack of hunting, people weren't coming in to control these populations. I'm not kidding you. There was barely any food for these animals. There were so many animals, and they grazed it completely to the dirt. I mean, in a giant area. So we got in with a helicopter. They set up a whole boma, and then they had trucks. So it was basically like a big funnel. The helicopter would go like cowboy it up and get a herd of zebra and push them through this boma. And every single time they'd pass this section, there was people shutting curtains behind them to keep pushing these animals up. Because, I mean, we're talking a long stretch. And so then they load them in trucks, and they'd take them to other properties because they had no food. I'm like, it was just firsthand experience from lack of hunting, and I never saw that before.
That's another thing that people don't think about is like, well, what's the problem with overpopulation and having too many animals? It's like, well, they got to eat too.
Yeah, and people, we were just at DSC.
Rather them starve,
right?
Yeah,
and we were just at DSC, and people were talking about giraffes. And giraffes, I feel like giraffes and zebra and lions are such a controversial topic. Yeah. Elephants, and one of the guys over there was like, but if we don't hunt giraffes and control the population, then they eat everything up top, which starves the tree below, and then all the other animals don't have food under it. I'm like,
yeah, I guess people don't understand the significance of how one life can change the entire ecosystem
of another.
It's very simple.
It's like when they reintegrated the wolves in one area and how that changed the entire dynamic for the whole country.
How many people live in your house?
Yeah, 4.
Let's say there were 18 people in your house.
That would change. That would be a huge dynamic.
Yeah.
So just think about that to all the viewers out there. Right now, how many people live in your house or where you live? A certain number. That's a good number.
Right.
And if there's too many people there, that means someone needs to find somewhere else to live. Wildlife is the same way. There has to be a right number in a certain area. Well, what if there was only you in your house? Mm-hmm. That's not enough. You need to increase the numbers to a certain number. Now, whatever that number is, that's how hunting works.
Yeah.
It's conservation by utilization. Trying to grow the healthiest game, the healthiest animals possible for that land.
Right. And you understand too what impact just one life has. I mean, I'm a newer dad, and I'm a twin dad now. So I understand
congrats.
Thank you. And my fiance and I have understood the impact of what 2 lives will do. That's a world shaker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so people, I think they don't understand just the different impacts, levels of impact that's just in a home. That's a great relation. Now imagine that, times 1,000, and you're saying that one of these animals needs 2,000 yards just to live comfortably.
2,000 acres.
Sorry. Yeah, that's a lot bigger.
So while we were screaming at you, 2,000 acres.
Yeah, 2,000 acres just to live.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the correlation there.
That's
but,
3.5 square miles.
Yeah. I mean, jeez. Imagine if you as humans, we needed a 3.5 square mile house to be able to live.
And then we have 4 extras on there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
That's a lot.
Crazy stuff, man. All right. So where I see this relationship going is definitely getting on some sort of collaboration here. I can invite you up to my friends up in New Hampshire.
I
we
would
have
love
a good,
to.
Dude, there's some good things up there. And but I would love to come down and visit, see what we've got going on over there.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. We'll talk. I think you and I can have some good ideas.
What we should do is we should get the classic firearms crew together.
Yeah.
Come down to the ranch in Florida. We got a really cool range. We got a really cool house there, and we can shoot some guns. We can hog hunt, and then we can bring back some game meat and cook, and we can have a great time.
Y'all could bring your tactical side. We'll bring our hunting side, and we'll have fun.
That sounds like it would be an awesome time. And you know what? I think I could probably get a manufacturer or two to throw in, and then we say, hey, we hunted with this rifle. Now it's our latest feature at cfcontest.com. For those of you that don't know, or if you guys aren't familiar, we are known for our giveaways. And
are you really?
Oh,
well,
yes, sir.
I hunt with the BRX1
Yes.
by Beretta,
Yeah.
so I'm sure when y'all come down there, we can have some contests, we can give some giveaways, we can do some really cool stuff with that.
I mean, for them to drop a rifle after 500 years of perfecting shotguns, it does not disappoint you.
All right, yeah, actually, because that's what your video said. It took 500 years to do this, and my first thought was, that's a long hunt, dude. Like, how long has your family been growing this animal, I'm like, oh, no, you're talking about the rifle. Right. Dude, so actually if you don't mind, 500 years. I mean, we know Beretta's the oldest gun company, right? But the BRX1, now they released this, and that took, 500 years for them to...
It's the
for them
first
to come
time
out with
they've
a
ever
rifle.
made a modern hunting rifle, which
crazy.
I don't know what a non-modern hunting rifle is.
At this point, yeah.
I have no clue, but
Yeah.
I know this is their first rifle. I'm very excited about it, and all I can tell you is that thing is super accurate. It's durable.
It's
It's
smooth,
rugged.
too.
And look, at $1,500, I think the MSRP is around $1,500. Anyone can hey, if you're gonna have a $700 or $800 rifle for a little bit more, you can have something state of the art and amazing like that.
First of all, the straight pull technology and the simplicity of maintenance on that is really, really cool. But something that really caught me by surprise when we were at the event was the fact that the detachable trigger mechanism.
To make it lefty.
Ambidextrous.
It's completely ambidextrous. All it is literally the rotation of the bolt, and then
And
pretty
it
much
kicks
swapping
out
up.
the shell from the other side.
Exactly. That is such a awesome design. But the trigger itself, you actually have three weight settings on the trigger element.
You can adjust it.
And it's a toolless takedown. I mean, you just use it. I guess technically you need a bullet, and it pops right off, and then you can just adjust. Hey, do you want a lighter or heavier trigger pull? And it's all right there, and then you're throwing it back together and with under a minute, and it's dude, this is revolutionary. So
It really is.
It's a great gun.
and the straight pull action.
And they have an orange magazine.
Yeah, that's what.
How come people don't do that?
We just filmed on that, Robert and myself at the Beretta's booth, and dude, you literally just dropped it, and he's like, "Hey, doesn't that show up bright?" And he's like, "Yeah." Now imagine you're hunting, and you're isn't that nice?
Because literally, I climb up in the stand, right, and we're hunting, and to get up there is we finally get in the stand.
Yeah.
And Robert looks at me because I asked him to pull up the gun for me. And while I'm climbing the tree, so we're trying to be less noisy,
right?
And so he hands me the gun, and he's like, "Where's the magazine?" I'm like, "It was in here when I tied it." And now I'm like, "Shoot, did it fall?" And I'm looking on the ground, I'm like, "I don't see any orange." But if it wasn't orange, I would have been maybe it is down there.
Yeah, right.
But I was like, "It's not down." I said, "Robert," and he pulls it out. So I'm like.
Hey, look, man, if you don't,
But if I did drop it, I would have seen it.
Yeah, and if you don't play little jokes and pranks on your spouse, do you really love each other?
Yeah, thanks, Amanda Pop. I'm just kidding. She totally got me yesterday.
What'd she do?
My badge. I was like, "Oh, I don't have a badge." She's like, "Well, we can write your name on one." And I'm like, "Oh, that's okay." And she's like, "No, I'm just kidding. Robert has it."
Of course. Good stuff, man. And that's something too I appreciate about you guys is the family values that you bring, and because I'm sure you're gonna be teaching your children all these values as well.
Oh, absolutely,
dude. And that's something that I think is so important, and something too that society will tell us all the time, that building a family and teaching them how to survive on their own is toxic. That we're the problem for this country, and it's dude, no, that's something I think the society maybe a lot of loud voices or few loud voices might be trying to throw down our throats, but at the end of the day, it's people and individuals like yourselves that are actually trying to teach their kids, the right way to do things. And
it's not only hunting; it's fishing, like you said earlier. And when you
it's
do
an entire lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's not just fishing, hunting, stuff like that, but it is a mentality, because what you were talking about before kind of resonated. Like, let's say you've got like a dangerous game hunt, and you've got something charging after you. It's like, all right, what do you do in this situation, right? And that's something you got to think on your toes. Or how about the animal where it's like, okay, you know what? Dang, something happens. Now I've got to do a follow-up shot, whatever else it might be.
Right.
And you're like, okay.
There's one other thing that I really would like to touch on today. My very first sponsor ever was Burris Optics.
Oh, nice.
So Burris has been stood by me through everything.
Before YouTube.
Brian Carey, who is a dear friend of mine, he was one of the main guys at Burris. He's not there now, which is crazy to me, but whatever. It is what it is. Today, the Burris Eliminator 6 came out. Actually today.
Like today.
Today.
Shot show, right here now.
Yeah.
Today.
And that gun, it has a laser rangefinder, or that scope has a laser rangefinder built into it.
Did you post that on Instagram?
Yes, I did.
And it reads so clear.
Yeah, it's really an amazing optic. And so that scope, you can calibrate it to your bullet and your rifle, and you can set it up in the app. And the app downloads to the scope, so you can change it on the fly however you want.
We were changing it when I was shooting 1,000 yards at range day.
That is cool.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And so for me to be a part of Burris and to see them making something that is so revolutionary and so effective. So my goal, so many people, let's say you are a more techie guy than me. You could probably break down a gun better than I can, and you know things that I don't. To me, a gun and an optic and a bullet, that's a tool.
Oh, yeah.
So not one bullet is good for everything. You have to know this bullet is good for this thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And this cartridge is good for this thing. This gun, this scope, it's all good for a certain thing. Well, the Burris Eliminator, it allows me to really focus on my mechanics. It allows me to focus on my shot. It allows me to stay on the animal, make a good, ethical, clean shot. And to be a part of Burris, and for them to be my longest and first sponsor ever, and then to see the Burris Eliminator 6 come out today.
How cool is that?
Man, it's really, really cool to see my career or our career blossom in the
grow,
whole outdoor community. So her and I have been married for a decade now. Awesome. But I've been working in this industry for 20 years now.
Yeah.
And so as it's grown and it's supported us, and it's been really good to us. There's nothing more important in this industry than my relationships with the people that make up this industry. Mm-hmm. And to be here with you guys right now is very, very cool. And I tell you, thank you very much.
Oh man, well, no, thank you. Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Sarah.
Yes,
dude,
you.
this is the beginning of a lot of cool shit to come. All right, and I'm looking forward to visiting you guys and having you guys come to us as well, because we got.
I want to clean a deer in that parking lot,
dude. I'll get the Robs together, and we're gonna make it happen.
I want to shoot a gun so fast flames come out.
Yeah,
guaranteed. We're gonna be cleaning a deer in that parking lot.
Dude, I feel like we're gonna have a good time with that. I feel like too, this might be the beginning of yet another Classic Firearms YouTube channel where it's like Classic Firearms Outdoors, CF Outdoors, and that'll be our hunting channel, right?
Yeah.
Right, that could be the start of it right there. So, guys, I'm again so thankful you guys took the time with us to be with us today on the CF podcast, and let's stay in touch. Let's make some of this stuff happen. All right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you guys again,
Thank you.
Hey, just so y'all know, they're cooler than the other side of the pillow. What you see is what you get. When we were at the range day, they were always cutting up, having a good time, joking with one another, and you don't know who the host is or you don't know who the camera guys are. They're all just guys having a good time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, our cameramen, I like to say to them, and some of them, they do so much. Actually, all of them, they do a lot more than just camera work. Yeah, right. For sure. But I do like
Austin Crocker.
Yeah. Yes, dude. I do like to make the joke though that each one of them, not only do they shoot pixels, but they shoot bullets too. And dude, they get out there and they run some drills with us too. Good. I mean, hell, just one of them, John behind the camera over here, was outshot some Navy SEALs, the other day. So
nice.
I mean, they do good work, right?
That's awesome.
So again, thank you guys again so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. God bless you guys. God bless you guys watching at home, and we'll see you next time at the CF podcast.
We'll see you soon.
Peace.